Okay, I think I got this straightened out. I've never done a YouTube live before, but I decided that I was going to do that today because I want to try it out. It's a lot quicker to do a live than it is to do film a video and then and then upload it. A live is just faster. So I'm going to try that tonight. I have some time. I've been kind of lazy the past few days. Not really totally lazy, but ever since let's see. So last Thursday, was it? Or was it 2 weeks ago already? I don't even know. Today, I know what day today is. But anyway, I think a week ago Thursday, I submitted my final thesis, or well, it was a compilation of a bunch of things. And for review, it has to go through the Educational Review Board, and then they decide, if like everything meets the criteria for graduation and everything. And so that was approved. And so my official graduation date is tomorrow from with this master's degree. So I have done some stuff. I mean, I've been talking to a teacher that she worked with me on a project that I had to do for the university that I went to, and she is a somewhat local teacher, but she works in my field, and so I got to know her through that, through this, like, it was like through 6 weeks. I had to kind of get to know her, and so I did that, and surprisingly, they are very short-handed right now. And so she contacted me, about 2 weeks ago, I guess. It was the week before my final week because I wasn't able to do anything the week of my final because I had so much work to do for school. But she contacted me, wanted to know if I was interested, wanted to know if I was almost done with school, and I said yes. And I told her, I said, and she wanted me to apply for the school district. So I finally got around to that 2 days ago. But I had to figure out the whole licensing thing and everything like that. So I did that. I paid for my license yesterday. And then so that has to be reviewed by the Board of Education. And then before it has to be approved through that because I had to have all my transcripts sent to the Board of Education in our state. And so I did that, had that sent, and that I had to pay for too. So all in all, I only had to pay $60, which isn't terrible because I could have had to pay more had I gone a different route and got a different license. But I found out a lot calling the Board of Education because or the regional office of education, because I didn't know what license to get, first of all, and then initially, and and I was talking to her about like my credentials, and she's like, well, so you want to go through the teaching program? Because I have like this, I forget what it's called. It has a specific name, but you can sign up for that online too. But they assign you a school, and then you go there, and then you do like your student teaching and all that kind of stuff. Now, I have had, and she said that there were like 4 courses I needed to take, but the courses that she named off were courses that I already took in my degree program. So she said I may not have to take those. And then also I had some I had like some clinicals that I did during my degree program. So, but I don't think that it's the same because my clinical that I took was more administrative. It wasn't teaching. Because in the beginning I wasn't going to go the teaching route, but then now from what I understand from talking to everybody, it's best if you intend to go into like the administrative area that you should be a teacher first and all that stuff. And I don't have like a lot of recent experience like in that area. I mean, other than like I homeschooled my kids, so of course, I do know how to teach. And I have taught like for the extension office for 4-H, I taught numerous courses in scrapbooking actually. And so I taught kids there. I taught working at the YMCA. I taught, when Scott and I were leaders in Boy Scouts all those years, and as a 4-H leader, and, in numerous capacities, mostly volunteer, aside from homeschooling and all that. So, I mean, I have a lot of volunteer experience, but it's just, so I wasn't sure. And she says, well, everybody has to go through a pre-teaching thing. And so I'm sure that I will have to go through that in order to do all this. In order to get into like that portion of it, but it doesn't mean that I can't get a job now. Like I can still work for the school district and like do this too. Potentially, like, especially if it's not like an entire year. I don't really know a lot about it because she said that it's not necessary that I sign up for that. Like immediately, I can still be a sub and I can still work as a para for this teacher if I want to. And that's kind of what my plan is I used to be a para for several years, and I would stand in for the teacher sometimes, like as an assistant teacher, because I had like the college background too. And I also took a praxis exam, so I had passed that. But, so I had enough credits to do all that and do all the stuff that I had to do just in a split, like in an emergency basis, basically. I was able to do that. Of course, at the time, I wasn't able to like write IEPs. I knew a lot about IEPs, but I wasn't able to physically direct the instruction or the education of children. I could implement it, but I couldn't do I wasn't qualified to do all the stuff that teachers are qualified to do. But I could stand in for her as teacher on occasion. So I did that. But this time around, the cool thing is I only had to get, because I already got it, the sub license. And according to the Board of Education, I only need the sub license. I don't need the para license. And the sub license is cheaper than the para license. Which I had a para license, years ago, but it was long expired. And even to renew it, it would still cost me $100. So it doesn't make sense. But plus, if with my sub license, I can also, like when the teacher is gone from the class, I haven't been hired yet. So I don't want to jump the gun because I haven't been hired yet. I just sent in the application. But hopefully, I mean, if I get hired, then I could also be a sub as well. So unless they want to use me in some other capacity, because there's a lot of openings in the school district. So right now. They're kind of desperate right now, which could be good for me. Now I'm going to do something kind of janky, but I don't like to waste. And I ran out of, like, I have some, like, tape runners. I don't know how much is on these, but I also have my big ATG gun, and I just changed it. I put a new one in, but there's always, like, leftover sticky, like, on a lot of this, and I don't like anything to go to waste. It drives me crazy to waste stuff. So I'm going to go through. It's going to look kind of weird, but I'm going to search for pieces that have sticky on them to use for this. And if there isn't any, then it just goes into the trash on my left. So I'm kind of excited about that. I don't know where it's going to go. But I want to learn from a real person. Like, I have a lot of knowledge, you know, because I have a master's degree. I have a ton of knowledge as far as, like, special education law and like, how to create IEPs and how to conduct meetings and how to do everything. But I don't have experience watching it being done. I don't have experience actually doing those things. I only have experience with using the case studies that we had to do, which were real case studies. But still, they're not, like, I don't know how to explain it. They're not real people. I don't want to say, like, I don't, like, they're, I don't know how to explain a case study. They're people, but they're not, like, real people. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, it's not like real time, you know, situation, like working in it and like working with students and all that stuff and doing all the things that someone who is a special education teacher does, and she can model that for me as a mentor. So, I mean, I hope that wherever I get put, will work out good. I'm trying not to worry about the commute. That's part of the reason why I quit at Olympia when we moved. Well, other than I was having a baby and my father-in-law was dying and all that stuff. But, still, it's a drive. You know, not a horrible drive, but I'm just trying to leave it in God's hands and let him lead me wherever he wants me to go. And if, you know, this doesn't work out and this isn't like something that I just, you know, that either I decide I don't want or like, I mean, I'm not sure why they wouldn't want me other than maybe I'm too qualified. I don't know, like overqualified. But I don't know. I kind of explained the situation that, like, I want, I don't mind working, you know, for a few years as a para because I want to learn, you know, unless they're thinking long term. That's the only thing that I worry about. Maybe I shouldn't have said that because, like, what about long term, you know? Like, if they're saying, well, we don't really want to train someone for 3 years and then have them leave and be a teacher because then we'll be in the same boat we are in now, you know, is the only thing. And if that were the case, then I would just go into that teaching program. I would just do that, you know, sign up for the teaching thing and then just go that route. But I don't know. I'm excited to get started, and I'm not getting any younger. But, you know, the way I look at it, if I can just get into the school system this year, then I can still have 20 good years ahead, you know, working for the school district in some capacity that I can retire in 20 years. And I'll still be okay. I guess I didn't have as much tape as I thought on here. Well, at least I know, right? Yeah, a little bit. I have a little bit, but I guess not. Okay, well, I'm not stopping unless there's slow, because this is like the beginning of the roll, where there usually is some extra sticky. I just don't like big, huge strips. So, but anyway, I've been kind of just like recovering. I know it sounds really kind of crazy that you need to recover, but after going to school for 6 years, it's like I don't know what to do with myself. I almost feel like I should be doing something, you know? Like I'm not doing something that I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't have anything really to do other than, you know, other than recover right now, you know, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. You know, I kind of need this downtime. There's some. So I can't wait for the darn election to be over with. I'm so tired of it. Just tired of it all. Just end already. So we can get on with our lives. And I'm the type of person who wants to research everything. That's just part of my disorder, probably. So it kind of, it gets to me when things like this go on, because then I'm like, you know, I'm triggered to research everything, and it's like, oh man, you know, I don't like it. I don't like it at all, but you know, I want to do my part as a good citizen. I don't know. I haven't even asked Ethan if he wants to vote this year. I mean, he's never voted before. He's old enough. But we've been, like, he's been so busy working and working out and doing, you know, his thing. And I didn't even talk to, like, Hunter and Jordan about it. That's their deal, you know. Hunter's still registered to vote here because for some reason his mail still comes here, and even though he's married and he hasn't lived here for over a year, but he needs to change that. So I don't know if he has to vote. Like, he has voted in the last two is it two? No, the last election was his first one. But I don't know what they're planning to do this year. And that's once my kids are grown, I don't pressure them, or that's their life, you know. If they choose to, of course, you know, they know, Hunter knows it's a civic duty to vote. He knows that. I don't need to tell him or hound him about it. You know, I don't know if Jordan's ever voted. I have no idea. I know Matt and Yessie already did. They voted early. Because they're very political minded. They're very up on that kind of stuff. Matt's kind of got an intensity similar to mine. We both are Matt and I are very similar. It's probably why we had difficulty when he was a teenager. And he's told me that before. He's like, Mom, we're just too much alike sometimes. And he's right. We are. We're a lot alike. He's a lot like me. Probably more so than any of the other kids. I mean, I shouldn't say like that. I mean, Hunter is like me too. Like, and so is Ethan. I shouldn't like all my kids. I shouldn't just say one, because they really all are like me in some ways. And they're a lot like their dad too. I mean, I can't say they're not like their dad either. In good ways, you know. These are my big long scissors. Feels weird to scrapbook on a Friday night and like not have anything to do. Although Friday has always been my day off. Like, other than when I was working at the Y this summer. Like, Friday has always been my day off. Like, from everything. School and everything. Friday has always been a day off. So, I don't know what Hunter and Jordan are doing tonight. They, I noticed on the 360 app, because I spy on my kids. No, not really. I just like to make sure, like, if they got home safe, and, you know, it's a mom thing. But I noticed they were in Bloomington, and I know that this is an Esme weekend, so I know that Hunter has Esme. So I don't know if there was some Halloween thing going on in Bloomington, maybe at the zoo. Maybe that's where they went. I don't know. I asked him, but I just didn't. I didn't check for a response. It's not a big deal. I know I'll see him sometime this weekend. I always do. They are the ones that I can always count on seeing every weekend. Of course, I live, you know, Ethan lives with us, so that's not anything. You know, I see him every day. And then Matt and Yessie and Aria, they live in Arizona, so I can only see them if I fly there. So, or they fly here, which Aria is a little bit young for that yet. So. I have so many little bits and bobs just like in this drawer that I could just like use for different things, but I don't. They just sit in this like junk drawer. I feel like it's a junk drawer. I'm looking for my scallop ruler, but I don't know if it's in here. I may have to use make a border punch. Let's stand up and use a border punch, I guess. Oh, let's see which one I grab. I kind of want the scallop one. Put this down. I have a snowflake punch. I might use that later. I know the one I want to use. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. This one. That's the one I want. Ugh. So I'm supposed to make spaghetti tonight. What did I drop? Oh, I dropped those rub-ons. I promised the guys last night I would make spaghetti, but I didn't. I didn't feel like making spaghetti. So I didn't. I just made eggs and toast. And then, so then I was like, well, I'll make spaghetti tonight. But then I don't feel like making spaghetti tonight either. So I may save that for tomorrow. It's just making like a big meal like that, especially when my kitchen's clean. Like I always debate. I'm like, okay, so do I really want to mess up the kitchen just for myself? I mean, even though other people will be eating that too, but I don't know. It's not something, like I said, I've been kind of lazy. Well, I guess recovery is not really lazy. And I did have to go to the ER like this week, so that was an interesting story. So long story short, I swallowed something that I shouldn't have when I was eating, and it got stuck, which was not good. And I didn't go to the hospital right away because I was like, well, it'll work its way down, you know. I kind of just justified it because it's expensive to go to the ER, you know, like especially if you have a copay. You're kind of, so like, I don't usually want to go to the ER unless I know I'm going to get admitted, you know. But this time it was kind of a dangerous situation where I was concerned that like if it didn't come out of me, that like it could cause a problem, like it could actually harm me. And in that case I was like, well, I better go in. And because all night long, like my body was trying to reject it. I just kept trying to throw it up. And I mean, not to be gross or anything, you probably don't even want to hear this, but my body was trying to like get rid of it. And so like I wasn't nauseous or anything, but I was like gagging, you know, like all of a sudden I'd just start gagging, which was not good. And that would like happened all night long. And I'm like, okay, this needs attention that I can't, you know, do myself, because it wasn't coming out. Yeah, it wasn't a fun situation. Not one that I would wish on anyone, to be honest. And so trying to find a white piece of cardstock that this will show up on, or even maybe even light blue. Do I have any light blue in here? Anything that'll work. Here's light blue. That'll work. So yeah, that was quite the night. So the next morning I woke up and I asked Scott to take me to the ER, and so he did, and they did an x-ray and they couldn't see anything in the x-ray. They couldn't like see if anything, was in there. But they did see something else. They something else showed on the x-ray. So at this time, well, I went from the waiting room out in the hallway, and then they, like, after my x-ray, they were like, we need to find you a room. Like, and so they found me a room, and I was like, this must be serious if they found me, like, because there were a lot of people out in the hallway ahead of me. So I was like gathering, oh no, this is because they had already told me that they saw something on the x-ray, and so I'm guessing like they try to get you a room if they're going to deliver bad news to you is what my guess was. So like if it's like emotional that you don't like lose it, you're not like in front of a bunch of people. So I get put in a room, and they come in and they're like, well, we saw something on your x-ray, and we want to do a CT scan with contrast. Then they asked me if I had ever had contrast before, and I said yes. And I actually get contrast almost every single time I have an echo, so they can see my heart better, or the little things in my heart better. So I'm kind of used to getting contrast. So it feels warm and, all that kind of thing. And then, so they did that. And when I was walking there, this nurse, she's like, have you ever been diagnosed with cancer before? And I'm like, trying not to freak out. I'm just like, trying to be calm, remain calm, nothing has happened, no one's said anything yet, just calm down. And so I'm just trying to like be in peace, kind of praying quietly in my mind to God, and I said no, and she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, why would she ask me that, and then, but I knew that they had seen something on the x-ray, and so then they did the CT scan, and the doctor came in and she's like, we're evaluating she came in. I went back to the room, and I still had the IV in, and she came in and she was like, yeah, we saw something, a nodule is what she called it, on your x-ray, and we wanted to look at it, and they're evaluating it, and then they'll, I'll come in with the results or whatever. And so I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like, Scott had gone out to like charge up my phone, because the only charging port that I had for my phone was almost dead, and the only charging port that I had was in the car, and they didn't have like a charging area in the hospital that I could like charge at. I didn't have a plug, like they didn't have a plug available for me to use, and that's fine. I didn't expect them to. I honestly didn't even think to bring all that. I just had the one in our car. So Scott went out to the car to charge my phone, and all I could think about is like, I was praying to God, and I'm like, please do not let them come in and deliver like bad news to me while he is in the car. Please let them wait. Please, please, please. I don't think that I can handle like this kind of news like by myself, and so that was kind of scary. But I you know, I just kind of like stayed in prayer that whole time and like was just like, you know, but God kind of had like this, you know, and I kept thinking, I kept thinking, you know, I just finished college. Like I just finished my final program, you know, and and, you know, just about to start my, you know, my career or my profession and what it, you know, these kind of things can happen. And I know that. And then I was reminded of, some really dear friends of ours, actually my brother-in-law's cousin, my brother-in-law Dan, his cousin Polly, her husband just died 2 weeks ago, like in a fluke accident. Like it would have never happened in a million years. Like if, again, I mean, it was so random that it was, and they're my age. I mean, I mean, in the scheme of things, you know, I'm not super young, but I'm not old, and neither was he, you know, but they, she works at a school in Missouri, Polly does, and her husband, had planned to have a garage sale like that, that weekend. So they live in a small community, and he was putting signs around town, and, and he was putting a sign up, and he saw this lady that he knew, this older lady, and she was having trouble, like she was an elderly lady, and she was having trouble turning like onto this road. And like I said, it's a very small community, like so small that like it's almost crazy that this happened. Like it doesn't make sense. And so he goes to help her. He's talking to her like in the middle of the road, and he goes to help her. And then this car just plows through a stop sign and smashes right into the car with the woman and him standing there talking to her. And he is thrown, like he's killed and thrown. And and everybody else was okay. Like it just like happened like a split second. I mean, it was just like, it was so random and so, it just does not, I still can't wrap my head around it. Like and like for 3 days after, I was seeing like he posts a lot on Facebook. So like I was seeing like posts of his pop up like randomly on my news feed after I already knew that he was gone. You know, they would just like pop up, and it was just like, it just made me like take a step back and think how precious life is and how short it is, and how like you just can't, like you just don't know moment by moment what's going to happen. I mean, you could just like he was just putting out garage sale signs, talking to a neighbor, or you know, a lady that he knew, an old lady he knew, and you know, and trying to help her, and then that happens. You know, it just it it really jolted me. It really like it just made me really think about how we really don't know like the plans God has for us. We don't know. There's no way we can know. I was going to put this here, but I mean, it just happened, you know, like I think about Polly, who just like left for work, you know, that day, and like, and, you know, and he, you know, he just was going to put out garage sale signs. I mean, it just doesn't, it doesn't make sense, you know? And like even Polly said, she's like, it's hard to believe that it's even true, you know? It just like, they're there 1 minute, the next they're gone. It's crazy. But I was thinking about that when I was in the hospital and thinking about, you know, we just don't know. We don't know what, you know, we can plan all we like, but we don't know what's going to happen. Only God knows our future. And so that kind of gave me a sense of peace that like I have no control over what happens, you know, with my life. And if it is that way, you know, and I tried to reassure myself that like, you know, a lot can be done nowadays, like depending on like my brother-in-law Dan, he has had cancer for a while now, a few years now. And he has to it's the type of cancer that cannot it doesn't it cannot be surgically removed. I don't know if I want to put, I think I'm just going to do that one on that page. Maybe I'll do this one too. This is like a book that I read last Christmas, and then this is one of my favorite Christmas movies that we watch every year. We have the DVD for it. It's a very old, it's a Jimmy Durante Christmas movie. It's called what's it called? The Christmas Wish. And I love it. I absolutely love that movie. So I was sitting here watching this. Minnie Jordan was here. And then that was the book that I read over Christmas last year. So I think I'm going to make this one smaller. But anyway. So Scott comes back, you know, and I told him, like, what's going on, you know. And I kind of got a deja vu moment. Like, sometimes I have dreams that come true, and it's kind of scary for me because it's like, you know, and probably other people do too, but like, I'll have a dream and then like, it'll literally happen. Like, exactly like my dream or whatever. And I had a dream that I was like in the hospital and like, and it just was weird. It was a weird dream, and to remember, like, you know how deja vu is, like, you all of a sudden you remember it, you know, you remember the whole thing, and you're like, and that's kind of how it went. Like, I remembered it, and I'm like, ooh, you know, it kind of gave me a chill. But then the nurse came in and or the doctor came in. I'm sorry, not the nurse. The doctor came in and she's like, we found what you swallowed, and it is in your small intestine. It showed up on the CT scan. So it's made its way through. My concern was I thought it was stuck in my throat or my esophagus. And that's why I kept feeling like I had to gag. And I was concerned that it would not go down and it would be stuck there. And then like that could cause infection or whatever. And that was the whole point in me going in, was like to make sure that it, and I was hoarse too, like from all that all night long, like I could hardly talk. So like my voice was very hoarse, and it still felt like there was something in there. And what she explained to me was like, when you get sick like that so violently, when your body's like violently trying to get rid of something, that that you like your throat gets swollen, and so it does feel like there's like something in there, because it's like it's all swollen and like aggravated. So so it made it to my small intestine, and so she said so I'm gonna start the like the um release paper, so you can go home or whatever, or discharge papers. And I said, what was the, like, what about the, whatever you saw on the scan? And she's like, oh, she goes, it's fine. It's nothing. She goes, it was she goes, it's a calcification that, like, sometimes our body creates these calcified, I don't know exactly how she said it. She's calcified nodules. That's what she called calcified nodules in our body, and they're completely benign. But they like everybody gets them. She said, and it's just when they see something like that show up on an X-ray, it looks like a tumor, or it looks like something more serious. But she said yours was just a calcification, so no worries, everything's fine. And I was just like, thank you, God. I just was like, I felt like almost like this huge weight was like lifted off of me, because with my health, like I've had enough health issues that I really don't want any more right now. I mean, nobody wants anymore. I mean, I'm not minimizing anybody else's struggle, or like if, that's terrifying. I have had terrifying diagnosis before that like are that were life-threatening. So I understand like how terrifying that is, and how like how it debilitates you. I understand that like 100%. But this time around, and I don't take it lightly either, because I know that next time, I might not be so lucky. It's just like I said with my brother-in-law's cousin, you just don't know, you know, when that time is. And it shakes you like to the core, you know, when somebody that something like that happens to someone I mean, for me anyways, I'm kind of ultra sensitive anyways about that kind of stuff. I just let's put that gingerbread. Okay, there. Okay, so this is going to be all about like movies and books and things. I read a few books over Christmas. I wanted to start a Halloween book last week, and I started it, and then I couldn't get into it. Like, it really bothers me. I don't know what is wrong with me as far as like books go. I cannot start another book when I am like in the middle of another book. Like I just can't do it. Like my focus is still on that other book. And so the book I was reading, if I can think of what it is called, I put down because it was kind of a Christmas book. And I had started reading it over the summer, and then just kind of like, it's it's a middle grade book, so it's kind of like I didn't have time to read it. I was really busy, and um I would read like a chapter here and there. And then and I just wasn't like super involved in it. It's I can't think of what it's called. It's about a house. It's like this house that like this mother and father, and they have an adopted child that is Asian, and this house is really old, and all these people, it's kind of like a inn, like they had turned this old house into an inn, and so all these people came to stay. It was kind of stay like for holidays, and but like things were ended up like missing, and so this boy and his friend, they like form this pact that they're going to discover who like the thief is, like who is taking all this stuff that's missing, and so it's kind of a mystery, which once the mystery started, then I was started to get more intrigued about it because I love mysteries. And then I kind of stopped with it because I was like, well, I want to start this excuse me, this Halloween book. And so I started it, but I couldn't get this other book out of my mind, like that I was like 3/4 of the way through, because I had just hit like the climax of the book, and I was like, you know, I kept thinking about this other book, and I'm like, well, maybe I should finish the other book. So that's what I'm doing now. Like, I'm kind of finishing the other book. I think I'm in like chapter 22 or something like that. And they've discovered who was taking the stuff, but it like stems back far before they were ever before they ever lived there, and like it's kind of a difficult book to explain. But wish I could think of what the name of it is. It's a really popular book series. There's another book too, like The Ghost of I keep thinking I know the name of it because like the original name of the family that owned the house was Langsticon, and like I want to say that, but it's not Langsticon House. It's I don't know, maybe it'll come to me later, but that's like the premise of the book, is like this family that owned it, and I don't know if it's going to turn out that they're like the house is haunted or something like that. I'm not sure. So movies, books, I could put crafts, although the only craft, well, the things that I made in the craft thing, I could actually put a little piece of that picture on there. I don't really need the whole thing. Put that in here. I just found a bunch of Christmas cards too that we got last year that I need. I always put those in my December daily too, because that's the best place to put them, really. As if I have them in the book, then when, you know, we look at the album, we can see who we got Christmas cards from that year. No, did I already I must have already scrapbooked them. guessing. Did I? Maybe. I must have. Already scrapbooked that. It's not here. So last weekend we went out for Scott's birthday. He is 51. So we did that, and that was fun. We went to, well, he wanted shoes because he always wants shoes for his birthday. That's something that's kind of turned into a tradition with him, is that every year he wants new shoes because he wears, I mean, he really only owns like, he owns 3 pairs of shoes. No, he owns 5 pairs of shoes. He owns his old tennis shoes, his new pair that he just got, his new Nikes. He will only wear Nikes. That's the only brand of shoe he ever wears in tennis shoes. Can't even ask him. Like, he won't switch for anything. Although, last time he got New Balance, actually. I did convince him to get New Balance last time. But there weren't any Nike shoes that fit him right. So, like, he really didn't have a choice his last birthday. But he has the 2 pairs of tennis shoes. He has a pair of sandals. He has a pair of Hey Dudes. And he has a pair of his work boots. He has to wear like these steel-toed work boots that have like this, I don't know, they're special steel-toed ones. He has 2 pairs of those. So, but that's all the shoes he has. I'm just gonna put, this is a life, fun times. Those will work. But so we got shoes, and then we went out to eat. He chose where he wanted to go to eat, which was a buffet, which I'm not huge on buffets, but it was his birthday, so I let him pick. Even not that I had to let, I don't know, that came out wrong. You don't, like, if it's somebody's birthday, they get to pick, on their birthday. That's just kind of how it rolls. And I just was kind of along for the ride, like you are when it's somebody else's birthday. So, so he did, we ate at this buffet place, which is always just okay for me. I'm not ever like, oh yay, let's go there, but he likes it. That's one of his favorite restaurants, and who says you have to be the same, right? But so I'm gonna put that there, and then I have a list thing, so I don't really need, but I want to put like a sticker or something, a big sticker, I think. Is there any big stickers? Put there. Where did I put? Oh, are all the embellishments in here? Did I throw them all in? I just dropped something. Oh, yeah. Very bright. I don't want to cover up all the words either. kind of a song sheet. That might go with it. So we went out to eat, and then after that, we decided that, well, we needed to get groceries. And Scott wanted to go to Barnes & Noble because that's kind of like the traditional, anytime it's anniversary, birthday, whatever, we do that. So that's what we did. And we found a grocery store like right across the street from Barnes & Noble that we went to, that we had never been to before. It was kind of like a Harvest Mart type place. And the thing that I liked about that, it was expensive. It was probably more expensive than any other grocery stores here, but it wasn't like so expensive that it was like, okay, this is too expensive to go here. It was just like, I mean, prices are high everywhere. It's not like, you know, you're going to get away with, you know, not, with not paying a lot for groceries. So, I think I'm going to do pink because I want to do this one of her. Actually, I think I'm going to do, Jordy's program should be next. I think that's the next day was the day of his Christmas program. My grandson's Christmas program. This is my grandson, Jordy. And then this is his class. He is in an inclusive classroom. So his classroom is, he's in a regular classroom with regular kids. So that's kind of cool. That, well, I shouldn't say regular kids. They're non-disabled kids. He's in a classroom with kids his age in grade level. So, which he should be. That's where he belongs. That's his least restrictive environment. So, and he's doing very well in that classroom. So, he just has a personal aide that helps him. And I want to do that. So we got groceries, and I like that grocery store because they had fresh produce, like actual fresh local produce, which you cannot find at any other grocery store. So that was a nice surprise to have like choices, like the carrots that we bought were not just like bagged orange carrots. They had like the multicolored carrots that were like, and like there were signs everywhere that said like locally grown, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then they had like, I think they had a better variety of like, they had a lot of organic stuff. That's probably why the place seemed a little bit more expensive, is because it was mainly organic items, but they also had non-organic items too. I shouldn't say that it was like, but it reminded me of a Whole Foods kind of, even though we don't have a Whole Foods over here where we live. And I'm not like stuck on buying solely organic anyway. It's just that we went there because it was close to Barnes & Noble. So we went there, got our groceries. Then we went to Barnes & Noble, and we had ordered our coffee. Getting down, like we like, our tradition is to just like pick up magazines and like read them and drink our coffee, and then we put the magazines back. We don't buy them. You know, sometimes we'll buy them, but like most often we just sit and read them. I think that's what most everybody does. And then you know, if you see one that you really want, you buy it. So, but we didn't buy any. We just sat there, drank our coffee. 15 minutes later, they're like, the store, you know, it's closing, and we're like, oh man, we just got here. But that's just kind of how it is. So this tree is really funny in the story. They put him right next to to this table with a tree on it, you know? And our main concern was Jordy has CP. So he is spastic sometimes. He has spastic CP. So his arms, you have no control over what he like grabs onto sometimes. And the entire program, we are sitting there looking at each other like, what are they thinking? He's going to grab that. We just could see this tablecloth, him grabbing onto the tablecloth, pulling it off, and then the whole tree just like crashing down on him. And we were like, what were they thinking doing that? But he didn't. He didn't do any of that. He was really, you know, just sat there and just didn't grab a hold of it and just like did his thing, did his part, and he did great. So he does, we know that he does have self-control to some extent, because like when the babies are next to him, he, you know, we'll tell him, you know, don't hit, like be gentle, you know, when the babies are by you. And he is gentle. Like he doesn't like swing at them or hit at them or, you know. So it must be somewhat controllable in some ways, is what I'm guessing, because like if you tell him not to do something or to be careful, he is very careful. I've noticed that. And that is so cool that he is able to, you know, control some of his actions. So, but he's learning the eye gaze system, which really is exciting. Jordan wants him to do it more this year than last year. Last year he was supposed to be doing it a lot more than what they did. Work with him with it, because with the eye gaze system he can communicate by looking at things, and he can that gives him a voice. And until they, you know, they need to actually work with him on that. More. But so I know in his IEP meeting, Jordan was like trying to get them to like use it more. Like she was a little distressed about it, because he really does need to use it more than what they're and he actually should be using it according to special education law. But when you're shorthanded, like the school can provide the minimum, unfortunately. And they shouldn't. Like they should always have the students' needs first, you know, as a priority. But oftentimes if they're short staffed, then there's nothing they can do. They just kind of like use it as much as I can and like think, well, next year we'll use it more, hopefully, and you know, that type of thing. But it's not providing everything to meet his needs, and that's kind of bothersome. But what are you gonna do, you know? I mean, that's one reason why I'm so adamant about like services being provided for students with disabilities, because so often it just gets pushed aside. It gets pushed to the back burner. You know, there's just, especially now that everything is inclusive, that kind of makes it harder, because, you know, not only is the teacher responsible for students with, you know, IEPs, they're also responsible for, you know, the general education students. And that's a lot sometimes, and it's a lot to juggle. And especially if you're short staffed, well, who's supposed to implement all this stuff, you know? So, but see, that's when you need a reevaluation of the IEP, we need to go back in. And if his services aren't being met, then you need to either negotiate or you need to file due process, and you need to, because legally he is supposed to be getting FAPE. And if he's not receiving FAPE, then they are not in compliance with IDEA. So, but he is doing very well, and I'm very proud of him. He was on honor roll last year. So, he's a very smart boy. He knows what's going on. And he knows how to behave. He knows, like, he is not always perfect. He sometimes gets in trouble with his buddies. Like they won't listen, or he'll be silly. He knows how to be silly. He's just the typical 10-year-old kid, that just he can be silly in his own way and be distracting to the class on purpose, I mean, he kind of gets a kick out of it when he can, sometimes. But we've noticed now that he's gotten older, he doesn't do like as much as he used to. He used to like sometimes be a big pain in the butt for his teachers sometimes. Like if he didn't feel like doing something, he would like throw a fit, or that kind of thing, or be silly and like throw things or hit things off of his desk or whatever, and he would laugh. He would think that was funny, because he was able to do that and get attention. And when he wasn't, it wasn't the right kind of attention that he should be seeking. But now that he's a little bit older, he doesn't want, and before he was in an exclusive classroom, so he was like in a classroom with kids that all had disabilities, and now he's not. So I think that he wants to be considered kind of cool, He doesn't want to act that way anymore. At least I haven't heard that he's done that in a long time. So okay, so I'm gonna put school program here. They don't call it a Christmas program anymore. They kind of call it like the holiday program, or HOLIDAY. Good. I have that. So I don't know what's going to happen with this job. If this is, I know that I don't want to like continue working online. So I got to get out of this house. That was my goal. I really loved working at the YMCA just because I got to get out of the house. I'm not the type of person that can work from home. I stayed home for many years, homeschooling my kids, and I loved it because I had something to do. I mean, they kept me busy, and we went places. I mean, we had co-ops and stuff that we participated in, and there was always stuff going on. Plus I was teaching them at home, and it was very rewarding. There's something really rewarding about, when you think back or when you reflect on like, I taught my kids to read, which is like a huge feat when you think about it. And I taught them both how to drive. And that was a huge feat, Um, and those are rewarding things, that when you can teach your kids something, and it's like, sometimes you think back and you're like, how did I do that? It just amazes you that you actually were able you know, to do that, because it's not easy. But I always believed in the mantra of slow and steady wins the race. So, I just always took everything slow. We just I tried to scaffold everything, even for my boys. And it worked really well in their education. You just start out at their present level, of learning in whatever subject. We didn't really abide by the traditional, okay, you're in this grade, because sometimes well, all the kids, sometimes, they were at a higher level in math than they were in English, or a higher level in spelling than they were in, history or whatever, it's just, you just went with it, it's pretty easy after you work with your kids, their entire school career, what level that they are on. And then you just continue with that level. And then as they learn and grow, you can skip and you can be like, okay, well, they, tested out of all this stuff. So I don't even need to cover it, because they know it, and, which made it a lot easier sometimes. Education is not as cut and dry as what people think. It used to be very structured as far as okay, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5. But it's funny how everybody was so against homeschooling for so many years, but then I see the public school system adapting or adopting a lot of things that a lot of us were doing homeschooling for many, many years. And because it was successful, it was successful for learning. And I just basically, when I started homeschooling, I had come from a public school background because I had worked as a para. And my kids were in preschool. So aside from my oldest son, which we pulled out in 6th grade, and him, I just got the textbooks from some friends who were also homeschooling their 6th grader, and they had extra books, and they just gave them to me. We used the books that they gave us, and that was just kind of it. We didn't go out and buy anything right away with Matt. We just used what we had. And then I kind of just developed what his interests were, and then just tried to incorporate them over the next several years. And then, and developed a plan that way with him. But with Ethan and Hunter, they had always been homeschooled. So with them, I started with preschool. And because I had worked in early childhood in preschool, I just used the same curriculum that we used in the public school system. And that worked really well with them. It was really fun. So we did that. And then in kindergarten, I just kind of moved up a notch, we, over the years, I went to homeschool conventions and all that stuff at first, to get kind of understand the whole homeschooling process, and, and talk to people, buy curriculum, go to classes, because classes were always offered at those conventions. And then after probably 3 years of going to conventions, I stopped. I was like, you know, sometimes too much information is too much, you know. We kind of had a pattern down by then, and it was working for us, and the kids were learning a lot, and and that worked for us. And then we got into the ACE program, which was like a program where I did not have to, and that was just in high school. In high school, I felt less comfortable like providing some subjects to them that they needed. Um, and so I bought the ACE curriculum, and that is a all-in-one curriculum that the parent doesn't really have to do so much. By then, the kids are kind of like self-motivated and they work independently to get the work done. And the parent really doesn't have to do too much at all. I mean, I always implemented science experiments and different things. Like I always tried to plan our I really loved literature, like classic literature. So we'd have long discussions on classic literature, and so I would supplement their education in certain areas. Um, and I would plan our vacations around like some of our curriculum, just so they could continue learning while we were on vacation and that kind of stuff. But I think I'm going to put Jordy here too. I'm going to put Jordy here in cold letters. But I don't regret those years at all. In fact, I miss them more than anything. I wish my kids were still young and I was still doing that. I could do it like forever. It was so much fun. Those were definitely the best years of my life, by far. Just getting to spend every day with my kids. I mean, I would be definitely further in my profession by now had I not. But that's just was God's plan, and I don't regret 1 second of it, because it was just, my boys are just, it was so much fun. It was so much fun when I was talking to a friend yesterday on Facebook. She homeschools her kids in Tennessee, and they used to live in Illinois, and now they live in Tennessee. Okay, none of those are the number I'm looking for. She I like this one. She had posted a picture on Facebook of her two younger two, and they were playing toys, like building. I think they were building a train track or something like that in their living room, and they were playing together, and a boy and a girl. And she has like 6 kids, I think. I'm pretty sure she has 6 kids, if I'm counting all of them. I have one friend that has 9 kids, and I have one friend that has 6 kids. Well, I have a couple friends that have 6 kids, so it's like it's hard to remember like how many kids my friends actually have. But so her younger two playing, and I commented on it. I was like, oh, I miss those days when your kid, like watching kids just be kids is the most awesome thing in the world. Like where siblings are getting along and they're playing together, and it's just like, and they're just playing. Like, there's no electronics, there's no phone, like they're on their phones or anything. They're actually really playing. And that, I remember those times so vividly when the kids were young, and they would just do that, like in the morning, they'd get up before school and they would be playing with whatever, building Legos or whatever. And it just was like, it makes your heart just all warm and fuzzy, seeing your kids just be kids, and, when, we never got up super early, so the kids didn't have to, like, get up super early, do all that stuff. But, to go to school, and, and I'm not bashing public school at all, because that is my goal, to work it for the public school system. And I didn't regret it back then, and I don't regret it now. Let's see, what day am I on? This is day 22. So this is day 23. So I'm going to use 23 here. And this is also, on the back is also 23. But I'll just put a different number there. I think. Do I want to do like Merry Christmas here? I could use this great big giant sticker. I don't know though. There. Oh, I like that. That goes good there. Although this little snowflake, I kind of want over top of it, but I don't know if that's gonna, if I can pull that up or not. There we go. There. That works. Okay, I like that. That makes it look a little bit better. And then let's see if I can find another 23, and we'll be done here. So more than anything, I want to get started on this bathroom as soon as possible. We haven't really done anything more in over a year, even though I put it in my planner every single week, and it doesn't get done. And so we just need to start tackling that like one day at a time, I guess. And see how far we can go. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. I don't know. I'll put a number on it later. I don't want to keep you guys doing that. We'll do Jingle Bells because they were singing. I'm pretty sure they sang Jingle Bells at the program. Put it there. And then I'm going to put the Santa on here. This button. I don't know, maybe, well, that is kind of gone now. I don't know, I may need to use a dot, but I'm going to use that there. So that is that page. But and then that's that page. So, and that is the 23rd of December. And I think I've caught you up on all the other like pictures that I did, but I'm gonna turn this off. I've already been with you for like an hour and a half, so but I thank you for watching my live, and hopefully this all works out good and it shows up the way it's supposed to, and I will see you later. Bye. know how to turn it off.